We broke up years ago. I ran into my rich ex-girlfriend in the elevator. She saw the baby I was holding in my arms. She panicked for the very first time, but what came to my mind was how she attended a banquet hand in hand with the A-list actor, chatting and laughing the whole time. I felt so inferior back then. I didn't even have the courage to break up. I only dared to leave quietly. Years later, I was invited back to this city. When she blocked my way with red eyes, "Stop hiding from me anymore. Say you still have feelings for me. Say every single day after we split up, you've been regretting it. Say that in this lifetime. I'm the only one you've ever loved. As long as you say the word, I'll give you anything you want." The first time I saw Zhao Q again, the peak of summer had just passed. It was my elder sister's 31st birthday. My brother-in-law booked a hotel to celebrate for her. I carried my niece into the elevator. Before I knew it, the little girl pointed at the poster in the elevator, her face full of curiosity. "Uncle, this auntie is so pretty." I looked at the woman on the poster. My mind went blank for a second. It was Zhao Q. I heard she's been doing super well these years, with business all over the world. My niece seemed really interested in her, pointed at the name on the poster and asked, "Uncle, what character is this?" I was silent for a moment. My chest felt a little tight. The sieve of memory sifted out lots of past events. The elevator door opened with a ding. I heard my own voice. "Xia." The Xia from Zhao Q. My niece giggled out loud. When a calm and pleasant female voice came from beside me. "Sir, were you talking about me just now?" At the sound of that voice, I lifted my head. Right into Zhao Q's peach blossom eyes. Time seemed to freeze for a few seconds. Zhao Q stared at me tightly. She could barely believe it, and very soon, she went back to her usual cold and distant look. I never thought that after breaking up for so many years, we'd run into each other here. Zhao Q tugged at the corner of her mouth, her smile a little pale. "Yichen." "Long time no see." I nodded my head. At this point, I didn't even have the courage to say a word to her. Luckily, the elevator stopped right at my floor. I practically ran out holding my niece. "You have a kid," I was just about to answer, when my niece spoke up first. "Auntie, this is my uncle. Isn't he handsome?" "He's not married. He's still single right now." I gasped hard and felt a sharp pain in my chest. Under Zhao Q's burning gaze, I ended up running away anyway. Halfway through the banquet, I walked outside to get some fresh air. I took a deep drag of the cool cigarette and blew out a perfect white smoke ring. I leaned against the window, quietly watching the endless stream of traffic below. I haven't had a stable life these past years. During the hardest times, I had to stretch every penny as far as I could. Luckily, I finally made it through. It was very quiet around. Footsteps walking towards me sounded very measured. I looked up. Zhao Q was standing a few meters away. She looked at me with her hands in her pockets, her gaze deep and unreadable. "Haven't seen you in a few years? You picked up smoking now. You never had this habit before." No one could ever tell what she was thinking. I lowered my eyes and skillfully crushed the cigarette in my hand. "President Xia didn't come all the way here just to scold me for this tiny bad habit, right?" I lifted my foot. My shoes made clicking sounds on the empty floor, which sounded a little harsh, each thud hitting right on my heart. When I walked up to Zhao Q, she suddenly grabbed my arm. "Yichen, don't you have anything to say to me?" Zhao Q's voice carried a hint of urgency, and even a trace of humbleness. I lifted my eyes only then, staring right at her slightly reddened eyes. "What's there to talk about between exes?" "Reminisce about the past. Get back together." I told myself I must not soften my heart. I can like anyone now, except Zhao Q. I warned myself over and over in my head. A good horse won't eat the grass it passed by. Zhao Q lowered her eyes and asked a question instead of answering. "Where on earth have you been all these years?" "I've been looking for you, but I never got any news of you. What do you need me for, Miss Xia?" In my eyes, to Zhao Q, my leaving is no different from her losing a cat. If she feels bad for me today, she'll give me more cat food. If she takes a liking to someone else tomorrow, I'll have to go hungry. I'm just a pet raised by Zhao Q, seeing me looking unexpressive. Zhao Q stared at me steadily, as if she wanted to carve me into her heart. "Ye Shen, you're really way too ruthless. You left me and ran off without saying a word." "How dare you!" Zhao Q and I dated when we were in college. I was still a student back then. She was already the head of her family's business. Zhao Q had a very wide social circle, all filled with rich second generations. A young guy like me from a small county totally didn't fit in her circle at all. She was very thoughtful and handled all trivial matters in our relationship by herself, while other people my age were still worrying about CET exams and their major courses. Xiao Wenqiu took me to see a much broader world. Boating in London, visiting exhibitions in Paris, cruising down American highways under the sunset, spending money like water in Rome. One night could cost an average family a whole year's expense. There's no doubt about it. Xiao Wenqiu was a very qualified lover, but for me, the world I was exposed to was never mine. There was a huge class gap between her and I. This relationship was doomed to be unequal from the very start. I couldn't act like people in normal couples, text my girlfriend whenever I wanted to, because she was very busy with work. I was afraid of disturbing her. When we hung out together, her friends never even asked for my name. It was as if they all took for granted that I was a pretty canary kept by Xiao Wenqiu. I knew that in this relationship, I would always be beneath her, and Xiao Wenqiu held all the initiative until later on. I saw with my own eyes a top A-list actor holding her at a banquet. They looked really perfect together, totally different from me. It was not so much jealousy as inferiority. That sense of inferiority that came from deep in my bones completely tore me apart. I hated myself who couldn't fit into Xiao Wenqiu's circle. I hated myself who wasn't good enough. That's exactly why I couldn't stay by her side any longer. As long as she was around, I'd always feel like I had a backer. So on a totally ordinary night, I quietly moved out of the apartment Xiao Wenqiu bought for me. No breakup, no goodbye. I pulled out my phone SIM card and cut off all contact methods. I thought that when we meet again, I must become someone good enough for Xiao Wenqiu. What I wanted was to be seen and to be respected. I moved to another city to live those years and worked my ass off to save money. Faced days where I had absolutely nothing. Many years later, I became a senior jewelry designer and was hired back to China with a high salary. I put down roots in this city, and I know this decision of mine was very selfish to Xiao Wenqiu, but that wasn't what I wanted. Even if we forced ourselves to stay together back then, we wouldn't be happy in the future. I snapped out of my memories. I looked at Xiao Wenqiu. She was more mature than she was a few years ago. I let out a long breath. Over the past few years, my mindset has changed a lot. I mostly weigh the pros and cons when dealing with things, and think everything over carefully. Just like right now, between Xiao Wenqiu and I, there is also years of estrangement and coldness between us. What she's clinging to is just the me from college days, just like a white moonlight, deeply engraved in her heart. That kind of feeling, the current me can't give it to her anymore. I looked at Xiao Wenqiu and sighed softly. I know I left too abruptly back then, Xiao Wenqiu. We won't have any result if we are together. All the things you're clinging to right now are totally meaningless to me already. I turned around to leave, but Xiao Wenqiu wouldn't let go. She pulled me into the stairwell, her feminine scented body pressed up against me. In a panic, Xiao Wenqiu pushed me against the corner of the wall. I got flustered and angry, trying to push her away. Xiao Wenqiu pressed against me with red eyes, stubbornly refusing to let go. I won't let go. I already let you go once. No matter what, I won't let you leave this time. As soon as she finished speaking, she didn't give me any time to react. Xiao Wenqiu leaned in towards me aggressively. The more I struggled, the tighter she held me. Between gasps for air, she buried her head against my chest. Hot tears dripped on me. She was crying. This was the first time Xiao Wenqiu had cried in front of me. In the quiet, cramped space, her voice trembled with sobs. Don't hide from me. Ye Chen said you can't get over me. Said you regretted it every day after the breakup. Said I'm the only person you've ever loved in your life. As long as you say the word, I can give you anything. In this kind of atmosphere, I couldn't say a single word. Until that day, I finally realized even Xiao Wenqiu could lose control sometimes. But this outburst might not be for me. Maybe she was having relationship troubles. Maybe it was the unwillingness she'd carried for years. But she clearly already had someone else. Why did she have to come pester me again? I lowered my eyes and pushed her away gently. You believe whatever someone says that easily. As we stared at each other, I saw the light in Xiao Wenqiu's eyes dim little by little. After I walked out of the stairwell, my sister was looking everywhere for me. Seeing that, I looked off. She asked with concern, What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I just came out to get some air. Let's go back. Yuan Yuan told me Uncle was in the elevator today and met a pretty aunt. Xiaochen, do you know that woman? She was my college girlfriend. Oh, I see. I've been urging you all these years. to give the girls around you more chances. You've always turned them down. Is it because of her sis? No, she saw I still had a knot in my heart. My sister didn't say anything more. She held my hand with a smile. I'm already married and have kids now. Of course I hope someone can take care of you, but I care more about whether you're happy. As long as you're happy. It's totally fine if you never get married. She gave me a comforting look. It's true, many people of the opposite sex have shown interest in me over the years. Those women are enthusiastic, pretty, smart, and generous. And thoughtful, but I no longer have the courage to start a new relationship. Actually, the problem is all on me. I've gradually lost the ability to love someone. Monday morning. My assistant Xiaosong stood in my office reporting work. I buried my head drawing design drafts, splitting my attention between two tasks. After finishing the work report, Xiaosong obviously paused for a second. Yege, there was a woman looking for you outside just now. She's quite pretty. Did she leave her name? No, she only said she wanted to see you. Send her to the meeting room. I'll be right there. I pushed open the meeting room door and realized why she specifically asked to see me. Xiao Wanqiu was acting very strange today. She looked more easygoing than usual. When she saw me come in, her eyes flickered slightly, from the moment I walked in to when I sat down. Her gaze never left me. You really are very efficient, President Xia. You found my studio this fast. I tugged at the corner of my mouth and looked at the woman across from me. She picked up on the sarcasm in my words. But Xiao Wanqiu clearly didn't care about it. Ye Chen, I'm here today to talk about cooperation with you. I want to ask you to design a diamond ring for me. The woman's eyes were cool and clear, with a strange kind of attraction. I pressed my lips together, picked up the coffee next to me and took a sip. Only an idiot would turn down easy money, especially money from a capitalist like Xiao Wanqiu, out of professional ethics. I still asked a question. Can I ask what this diamond ring is for? Just for my wedding. When she said this, her eyes were extra soft, a tenderness I had never seen before. The coffee in the cup spilled accidentally. I pulled my hand back in a panic. Is your fiancé that famous award-winning actor? Indeed, with such a big celebration. Only a custom diamond ring is worthy of his status. Xiao Wanqiu looked at me meaningfully. What's wrong? Is it too difficult? No. If you have specific detail requirements, President Xia, you can discuss them in detail with my assistant. I'll confirm with you after I finish the design draft. I'd rather communicate directly with you. My boyfriend is very particular about these things. What if he's not satisfied with the final design? I'm the one who's gonna get screwed, right? Ye Chen, we've known each other for ages, right? You're really gonna turn down such a small favor. After that, he glanced at the colleagues outside the meeting room. The threat in his tone was way too obvious. Fine, he wins. I don't want everyone to know about our relationship. When I took out my phone to add her on WeChat, Xiao Wanqiu curled her lips into a pleased smile. After she added me on WeChat, Xiao Wanqiu was surprisingly quiet after that. She never sent me a single message, nor did she ask about the progress of the design draft. As for this situation, I was actually pretty happy with it. That way I don't have to feel on edge. Every time we meet. But fate loves to play jokes sometimes. I never expected that after all these years, I'd run into that famous award-winning actor again. When I was heading home, he was walking out of the apartment across the hall. He looked like he was in a hurry. We bumped right into each other at the elevator entrance. Ye Chen, the man called out to me, his voice slightly surprised. I turned around, my heart skipping a beat. How the hell did he know my name? He didn't seem hostile towards me at all. He pointed at my apartment with his long, slender fingers. Do you live here? Yeah, I just bought it not long ago. He seemed to figure something out. He chuckled a little. Oh, right, I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm Xiao Wanqiu's older brother. My name is Xia Xiangyang. Xia Xiangyang shook my hand in a friendly manner. So the person who attended the banquet, with Xiao Wanqiu back then, was her own biological brother. No wonder this girl suddenly wanted to buy an apartment here. It's all because of you, huh? If it's okay with you. Can I come in and sit for a while? Of course, no problem at all. The information hit me way too hard all at once. I led Xia Xiangyang in, still a little dazed. What would you like to drink? Feitian Mutai is fine. I smiled at Xia Xiangyang. He had a very neat, fresh look about him. He'd been quietly sizing me up ever since he walked in. There was curiosity in his eyes, but also a hint of warmth. Aren't you curious? How I know your name? I sat across from him on the sofa, quietly lowering my gaze. It's definitely because of Xiao Q, right? Yeah, I only found out about you after you two broke up. Back then, my sister was looking for you like crazy. She would have dug up the whole city to find you, but she never got a single lead on you. You might not believe this. Wankyu's always been a very calm, reserved person. This is the first time she's ever acted like this for a guy. I told her, maybe you had your own reasons for leaving, and you'd meet again if fate allowed. She kept looking for you for more than half a year, slowly losing hope little by little. I watched her get more and more depressed right in front of me. Until one day I went to see her. I don't think I'll ever forget what I saw that day for the rest of my life. She was lying in the bathtub, a deep cut on her wrist. It felt like something exploded in my head. My mind went completely blank. Xiao Wanqiu, she tried to kill herself because of me. At this point, Xia Xiangyang finally couldn't hold back his tears anymore. I felt a cold chill running down my spine. It felt like all the blood in my body had frozen solid. Xia Xiangyang covered his face and cried, speaking through sobs. I panicked so bad back then, I called an ambulance right away. Those few hours waiting outside the operating room, I thought of 10,000 different worst-case scenarios. Luckily, they managed to save her in the end. When Wanqiu woke up, she was completely broken. The first thing she said to me was, "Why did you save me?" Ye-chen, my little sister used to be so bright and full of life, but she was completely ruined in the end. Tears streamed down my face, coming faster and harder. My chest was throbbing with pain so bad I could barely breathe. I had no idea any of this ever happened. Mr. Xia, I'm the one who's sorry for what happened to her. Xia Xiangyang gradually calmed down, wiping the tears off his face. He shook his head at me with a small smile. It's not your fault. My sister's just too stubborn when it comes to love. Once she sets her mind on someone, it's always going to be that person. She might seem cold and distant on the surface, but she really loves you more than anything. Now that you're back, no matter if you two get back together or not, I hope you two can clear up all the old misunderstandings. Xia Xiangyang stood up and patted me on the shoulder. I looked up at him, and I saw encouragement in his eyes. It felt like he was telling me it's okay. A strong sense of guilt flooded my mind. I think I need time to process this. What happened between Xiao Wanqiu and me? I held Xia Xiangyang's hand, and finally nodded in the end. Friday night. Young people were dancing their hearts out on the dance floor. In the booth not far away, our group was celebrating our buddy Chen Hao's birthday. He noticed I was always distracted, and sat down right next to me. Who would have thought? Xiao Wanqiu is actually such a devoted person. Even I was shocked when I heard about it, let alone you. He lost his usual playful grin. Chen Hao looked dead serious. I used to think Xiao Wanqiu was just a spoiled rich girl and didn't care that much about you. But looking at it now, that might not be the case at all. I lifted my eyes to look at Chen Hao. He curled his lips into a faint smile. Xiao Wanqiu came to me a few years ago. She was extremely haggard back then, like she had completely lost her soul. She kept asking where you were. I was really mad back then too, so of course I refused to tell her. Thinking about it now, if I had told her back then, she wouldn't have killed herself. Chen Hao sighed guiltily and downed the drink in front of him in one go. I lowered my eyes and felt a sharp, tight ache in my chest. I'm heading out first. You guys have fun. Before Chen Hao could say anything, Angela stood up first. I didn't drink anything tonight. Let me drive you home. I looked over at Chen Hao. He shrugged innocently. Angela is a high school classmate of Chen Hao and me. Ever since I returned to the country, she has been pursuing me very aggressively. According to Chen Hao, she's had a crush on me since high school. I was just too clueless back then, and never noticed her feelings for me. No need to trouble yourself. I'll just take a taxi. I refused with a faint smile. Angela still insisted on driving me. You've been drinking? Don't take a taxi alone. I passed by your house on my way home anyway. It's really no trouble at all. Looking at her enthusiastic face, since she had already said that much, I couldn't really turn her down again. My place is really close to the bar. It only takes around 10 minutes to get there. The night was as cool as water. Only 2 figures remained under the street lamp. I smiled at Angela. Thanks so much for this. For driving me home so late. My sincere gaze seemed to make her a little embarrassed. She smiled and tucked the hair in front of her behind her ear. No problem at all. After saying that, she took a deep breath, looking a little nervous. Are you free this weekend? I want to invite you out for dinner. Oh, I'm sorry. I might have to work overtime this weekend. I looked at Angela with a hint of apology. She seemed afraid of troubling me, and quickly found an excuse for me. It's okay, you just got back to the country. You must be super busy with work. Whenever you're free someday, just hit me up anytime. I'm really sorry. I don't have plans for a relationship right now. Maybe you should pay more attention to other people. There's no need to waste your time on me. I turned her down very straightforwardly. Angela's smile froze on her face. In some ways, Xiaowangqiu and I are equally stubborn. I turned around to leave, but was stopped by Angela behind me. Her gaze was burning with passion. Yeah, Chen, I'll wait until the day you're willing to notice me. Seemingly afraid of getting rejected by me, Angela got in her car the next second, until the car disappeared into the night. I finally let out a soft sigh. Love is really such a torturous thing. Even though I've turned her down many times, Angela still offers me her whole heart, hoping she can move me one day. But unfortunately, being moved isn't love. Angela's feelings for me can never get a response from me. I pulled my coat tighter around me and walked quickly towards the elevator. The elevator door opened with a ding. I was immediately surrounded by a strong smell of alcohol. Xiaowangqiu was sitting at my door looking extremely haggard. Even in such a messy state, this woman still exuded a noble aura all over her. So much that you can't look away. At her feet were empty wine bottles scattered all over the floor. How much did she even drink? My eyebrows twitched fiercely. We stared at each other in silence. It's the first time I've ever seen Xiaowangqiu look this pathetic. Her lips were pressed into a thin line. She was quiet for a long time before asking softly, "Are you—" She never said the rest of the sentence. It died in her throat. I clenched my fists unconsciously. My fingertips turned white from the pressure. What is it? That woman who dropped you off just now. Are you two dating? Xiaowangqiu looked worn out. Her almond eyes were brimming with tears. So that's why she drank tonight. It's not what you think. I looked at Xiaowangqiu. I reached out to help her stand up, but she brushed my hand away. There was even a hint of grievance in her eyes. After a long while, she gave a self-deprecating smile. Yichen, what exactly am I to you? With that, she stood up and kicked the soda can in front of her away, and stumbled to the elevator entrance. Xiaowangqiu just left like that. She didn't even wait to hear my explanation. That night, I slept really restlessly. I dreamed about my past with Xiaowangqiu. The past flashed through my dream like a slideshow. On my 21st birthday, Xiaowangqiu prepared a surprise for me. That was the happiest birthday I've ever had in my life. She put a watch on my wrist and promised she'd only love me for the rest of her life. We hugged and kissed as everyone looked on enviously. I've always had poor sleep quality. Xiaowangqiu would always wait for me to fall asleep first. Every time I woke up from a nightmare at night, she'd pat me gently. Akin, it's okay, don't be scared. It's just a dream. All those nights I spent abroad, God knows how much I craved Xiaowangqiu's scent. But all I got in return was the cold emptiness of the room. I admit I'm a coward. I never dared to show around Xiaowangqiu how deeply I cared for her. I was scared she'd see right through me, and I couldn't stand sharing her with another man. That's why all those years abroad, I refused to come back home. I was terrified of hearing that Xiaowangqiu had gotten married. When I jolted awake from the dream, the wall clock said it was 2 a.m. I got up to pour a glass of water. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I pressed the answer button. The background on the other end sounded really noisy. The girl on the phone sounded a little delighted. Brother-in-law. Thank God you picked up. Sister Wan asked us girls out for drinks today. She started drinking like crazy as soon as we got into the booth. No one could talk her out of it. None of us girls could stop her. She's completely passed out drunk now. I'm pretty sure it's because of you. Do you think you can come pick Sister Wan up right now? My temples were throbbing like crazy. I immediately asked for the address. When I got to the bar, Xiaowangqiu's childhood friend Wang Mei was waiting for me at the door. Brother-in-law, you're finally here. Sister Wan still passed out inside. Was that you who called me just now? Yeah, that was me. When I called you, Sister Wan kept saying your name over and over again. I froze mid-step. Wang Mei looked back at me confused. What's wrong? Nothing. As soon as I walked into the booth, I saw Xiaowangqiu passed out on the couch. Even drunk out of her mind like this, she was still sleeping so peacefully. Her fair skin had a faint pink flush to it. She looked even more lovable than when she was awake. I carried Xiaowangqiu to the backseat of my car. I turned around to leave, when Wang Mei suddenly called out to stop me. Brother-in-law! I know with how things are between you two right now, it's rude of me to call you that. But Sister Wan only allowed us to use this title for you. We've never called anyone else that. There were barely any pedestrians on the road by now. In the quiet atmosphere, I leaned against the car with my hands in my pockets. Back then, none of you even asked for my name. I chuckled softly. The idea that I was Zhao Wanqiu's kept boy has always bugged me. Wang Mei could obviously tell what I was thinking. You've got the wrong idea. Wang Qiu didn't mean it like that back then. She said you were young and easily embarrassed. If we paid too much attention to you, it would just make you uncomfortable. Between us girls, you're the only brother-in-law we've ever accepted. No one else qualifies. Wang Qiu's had a really hard time these past few years. As her friends, it's not our place to say more. When she wakes up, you can ask her yourself. I let out a long breath. Every time I hang out with Xiao Wanqiu's friends, I'm always very well taken care of. They never treat me differently just because we come from different backgrounds, or look at me with weird eyes. It turns out Xiao Wanqiu had already paved the way for me behind my back. I let out a soft, self-deprecating chuckle. That silly girl Xiao Wanqiu. How many more things is she hiding from me? It was just a 10-minute car ride, but it felt like a whole lifetime had passed. Xiao Wanqiu was mostly awake by the time we got home. The elevator went up slowly, floor by floor, and we both stayed silent in perfect unspoken agreement. Why did you buy the apartment right across from mine? I asked her in a low voice. Breaking the quiet, Xiao Wanqiu let out a soft hum in response, and still obediently told me the truth. I wanted to see you more often. I said nothing, and stepped out of the elevator first. Crashing at my place was totally out of the question now. Xiao Wanqiu had no choice but to obediently enter the passcode for her own door. I was just about to tell her to get some good rest when she pulled me into the room with strength I didn't know she had. In the dark, Xiao Wanqiu closed the door skillfully, pressed me against the back of the door, and stood on her tiptoes to kiss me. The alcohol-scented kiss came crashing down on me overwhelmingly. The whole move happened in one smooth flow, with no hesitation at all. Xiao Wanqiu's kiss carried uncontrollable burning heat. In my dazed state, I tightened my arms around her waist. The woman turned on the entryway light, and the whole room lit up brightly in an instant. Xiao Wanqiu pressed against my chest, with flames of love dancing in her eyes. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have refused to listen to your explanation. I waited for you for hours tonight, and when I saw that woman drop you off, I got so jealous. I couldn't control myself. She looked just like a kid who had done something wrong, hoping for my forgiveness. How many years has it been since I last saw this shy, teenage girl-like expression on Xiao Wanqiu's face? I can't even remember anymore. My cheeks burned hot. I felt like my whole face was on fire. I explained patiently. That's not what happened. He chased me, but I turned him down. I know. Her gaze gradually grew hotter, with starlight swirling in her dark eyes. I suddenly picked Xiao Wanqiu up by the waist, and my hoarse voice rang in her ear again, Xiao Wan. I can't hold back anymore. The next morning, I woke up in Xiao Wanqiu's bed. I put on my slippers in a hurry and walked out of the room. Xiao Wanqiu was making congee in the kitchen. When she saw me come out, she set the hot millet congee on the table. Come here. Try my cooking. I sat down on the high chair. The aroma of the millet congee teased my taste buds. I stirred the congee in the white porcelain bowl aimlessly with my spoon, but I had no appetite at all. I looked at Xiao Wanqiu, who was still busy, and my gaze darkened a little. How did you get that wound on your wrist? As soon as I finished speaking, Xiao Wanqiu's back froze for a moment. She turned around and seemed to dare not look at me. I walked to her side, trying to take her hand, but Xiao Wanqiu stopped me. Don't look at it. This scar is really ugly. I didn't listen. I still insisted on pulling her hand over. When my fingertips brushed over that scar, my eyes were already full of tears. It's such a deep scar, I don't even dare to think about it too deeply. If Xia Xiangyang hadn't gone to see her by coincidence that time, the consequences would have been unthinkable. If Xiao Wanqiu had really killed herself because of me, I would live in the shadow of guilt for my whole life. Xiao Wanqiu gently wiped my tears for me. Why are you crying? I'm fine, see? How could you be so stupid? In the first 6 months when I couldn't find you, I hated you to my very core. I hated you for hitting on me, and then abandoning me. Then I slowly figured it out. I must have not been good enough. That's why you left me, but you have to believe me. From the day I got together with you, I knew you were the one for me, and I swore I would marry you in this life. The more gently Xiao Wanqiu explained, the harder my tears fell. She has really been through so much these years. She fumbled to wipe my tears in a fluster, until she finally just kissed my tears away. Yichen, you're really my fatal doom. Even though I've been hating you in my heart all these years, I can never bear to let you suffer even the slightest grievance. Even just watching you cry makes my heart hurt so bad. Am I stuck with you for the rest of my life? I admit I was too willful back then, but there are still some things we need to make clear eventually. There are way too many misunderstandings between Xiao Wangqiu and me. I pulled Xiao Wangqiu to sit down on the couch. Back when we were together, I actually felt really insecure deep down. I was just a broke college student with nothing to my name, but you were already successful in your career. I was afraid that in other people's eyes, I didn't deserve you at all. I didn't dare share my happy moments with you, and I was even more scared to share my sorrows with you. Because I knew you were really busy. I was worried I would disturb your work. In this relationship, I have always felt inferior. You've always had a calm and reserved personality. That made me think you were just messing around with me, that you only saw me as a caged canary you kept. After I finished speaking, Xiao Wangqiu looked at me in disbelief. Her tone was completely certain. I never thought that way at all. She seemed to finally understand the information gap between us. Achen, when it comes to our relationship, how could you have so many misunderstandings? Xiao Wangqiu leaned into my arms. Do you know why I fell for you? I shook my head. Xiao Wangqiu patiently explained everything one by one. The first time I met you, it was at Kuni Cemetery. You were wearing a plain and neat white shirt, holding a bouquet of chrysanthemums in your hand. I happened to be at the cemetery visiting my late father. It was raining really hard that day, soaking our clothes. When I walked past you, you handed me an umbrella. I asked what you would do then. You said you lived really close by. Later, I watched you running through the rain. When I came to my senses and went to look for you, you were already nowhere to be found. After saying that, Xiao Wangqiu chuckled softly. It was the first time I'd met a guy like you, so kind that you'd rather get soaked in the rain yourself, just to give the umbrella to someone who needed it more. Later, I used my connections to find you and started dating you. Back then, I thought, we'd get married as soon as you graduated from college. But you're way too independent. You refused to rely on me just because of my status. You also didn't cling to me like other ordinary guys do, wishing you could stay with me 24/7. Actually, I'm a really possessive person. When I saw you getting close to other women, I would get jealous. When I saw you chatting happily with your classmates, I even hated myself for not being a student, so I had no common topics with you. So I could only pretend I didn't care as much as possible, and respect your decisions in everything. And that's exactly why you got the wrong idea that I didn't love you. Right? All these words from Xiao Wangqiu, I'd never heard her say any of them before. Turns out she cared about me this much. At this point, everything was laid out on the table. Because of all these reasons, I never dared to show how much I loved you in front of you. I was afraid you'd look down on me. A caged canary doesn't deserve to love its patron. I didn't even dare show my true feelings to you, scared that I'd be the one getting hurt in the end. Silly, in this relationship, I'm the one who felt inferior. I was scared you'd think I have nothing to offer, other than my money. I even thought before that it would be fine even if you only loved me for my money. At least I actually had that, but sadly, you never cared about those things at all. I just felt waves of trembles in my heart. The thing that I'd been minding this whole time. I also laid all of it out on the table. Actually, those weren't the only reasons I left. Back then, I thought Brother Xiangyang was your real boyfriend. Xiao Wangqiu was really shocked hearing this. Hakan, why did you never ask me about this? I was just accompanying my brother back then. To attend a business dinner, that's all. We talked through every single thing from the past one by one, and I finally realized just how deep the 7 years of misunderstandings between Xiao Wangqiu and I actually were. Xiao Wangqiu laid in my arms and talked a lot that day, until she was extremely sleepy. She fell asleep leaning against me. I gently kissed her on the lips, carried her to the bedroom, and tucked her in. Ever since Xiao Wangqiu and I got back together, she wished she could stick to me every single day and take me with her everywhere she went, scared I'd disappear again. I knew she was still scared I'd leave her again. This joy of getting something lost back, I felt exactly the same way. After that intense wave of happiness, you'll feel more and more insecure, even though I told Xiao Wangqiu over and over again that I would never leave her again. When we slept at night, she still subconsciously held me really tight, as if she wanted to embed me into her life. Xia Xiangyang was of course really happy for us too. When he saw us standing together, he cried as he was smiling. 1 month later, I proposed to Xiao Wangqiu. Right in the villa we prepared for our wedding. Xiao Wangqiu's childhood best friend Chen Hao also showed up. Red roses covered every corner of the room. Every detail was decorated very carefully. Xiao Wangqiu looked so beautiful today. She was absolutely glowing. I got down on one knee and looked at her affectionately. In my hand was the diamond ring she had previously asked me to design. I have to say, she's so good at planning ahead. She's been playing the long game ever since I came back to China. I took a deep breath, pushed down my nervousness and said, Wangqiu, this is our 6th year together, but I wasn't by your side for 4 whole years in between. The smog outside the window slowly cleared. The light was getting brighter, and you looked clearer and clearer in front of me. It's a very ordinary day. This morning you were lying right next to me, sleeping peacefully in my arms. I realized I just couldn't take my eyes off you at all. I didn't want to fall asleep, because I was scared that if I closed my eyes, you'd disappear from my sight again. Maybe you don't know this. While I was staring at you, I suddenly made a bold decision. I was going to propose to you, even though time was really tight, even though I might scare you. This is a real proper proposal. My girl has waited for me for so many years. This time it's my turn to be brave. I want to take you home. What about you? Will you come home with me? From where I was standing, Xiao Wangqiu's hands were trembling slightly. Everyone was cheering. Marry him! Marry him! Marry him! I suddenly felt so lucky. All these years, Xiao Wangqiu had been waiting for me this whole time. Maybe in the countless sleepless nights ahead, I'll still remember this flutter in my heart. Xiao Wangqiu picked up the diamond ring and slipped it onto her ring finger. From now on, I'm your Mrs. Liu. The cheering around us got louder and louder, but Xiao Wangqiu only had eyes for me. The moon outside the window was silver bright. I pulled her into my arms, overjoyed. Yichen, what did I ever do to deserve you? You're the best gift the world has ever given me. Xiao Wangqiu didn't know that she was the gift God sent to me. I never told Xiao Wangqiu. That many years ago, the day we met at Danning Cemetery, I had just lost my closest family member. I sat quietly on the cemetery steps for a long time, until the sky slowly got dark. Xiao Wangqiu walked past me at that moment. She had such a nice scent on her. Then the weather changed, and light rain started falling in the cemetery. Xiao Wangqiu walked over to me. She took the black overcoat from her bodyguard and draped it over my shoulders. You're wearing too little. Don't catch a cold. It's getting late, you should head home soon. Even though she was shivering from cold herself, the look she gave me was still so warm. Maybe Xiao Wangqiu will never understand how much comfort such a simple gesture brought me back then. I nodded, seeing her clothes getting soaked by the rain. I pulled an umbrella out of my backpack and gave it to her. I never expected such a simple action would be remembered by Xiao Wangqiu for so many years. I bloomed when I was at rock bottom. Everyone else wanted to pick me. Only Xiao Wangqiu walked past me and held an umbrella over me. You just keep blooming. I'm right here for you.